Hi everybody, I hope this video finds you well. In today's video, we're going to be introducing our class, Math 270, as well as talking about the syllabus for our course. So let me officially welcome you guys to Math 270, section 0398 for the summer 2020 term. My name is Ben Mitchell, and I'll be your guys' instructor for the next 8 weeks as we sort of work through this course. In this video, we're going to just talk about some of the policies, expectations, how this course is sort of going to run, as well as just giving a brief introduction to what we're going to be studying in this class. So the first sort of relevant piece of information that I want to call your attention to, it's a little bit hidden here, but it's actually the name of our class. Math 270 is differential equations with linear algebra. And what's sort of unique about that is that unlike a lot of the other math classes you may have taken here at El Camino, things like Math 190, 191, 220, all of those courses sort of focus on one major calculus-oriented topic at a time. 190 is all about differential calculus, 191 is all about integral calculus, and 220 is all about calculus and multivariables. 270 is sort of unique because we're actually going to be studying two separate branches of mathematics, differential equations and linear algebra. And the way our course is sort of going to run is we're going to spend the first about quarter of our class, about 2 weeks, studying just differential equations on their own, trying to see as much as we can figure out about differential equations just using our knowledge of calculus. Then we're going to take about the middle 50% of our class, so about 4 weeks in the middle of our class, to just talk about linear algebra. And linear algebra is going to be a great opportunity for a lot of you guys to really get introduced to pure theoretical mathematics. A lot of what we're doing in linear algebra is just understanding the structure of algebraic objects. So we'll sort of look at linear algebra as its own topic, just trying to delve in and really get a sense of how these structures work, what are their properties, what sort of results can we derive from them, so on and so forth. Then, in the last 25% of our class, about the last 2 weeks of our class, we'll take what we've learned from linear algebra and we'll apply it back to differential equations. And this will allow us to solve a much wider range of more challenging differential equations, more interesting differential equations than we're able to do initially. So, to sort of summarize, we'll spend a couple weeks doing differential equations, then about 4 weeks doing linear algebra, and then about 2 more weeks doing differential equations. So our class really is split 50-50 between these two separate branches of mathematics there. All right. In terms of the first pieces of information about how our course runs, the first thing I want to call you guys' attention to is right here, office hours. We will be having weekly office hours via Zoom. The times are listed here: Tuesday, 11 a.m. to 12 p.m., and Wednesday, 2 p.m. to 3 p.m. These are guaranteed to happen each week, so you guys can count on that every week. Tuesday, 11 a.m. to 12 p.m., and Wednesday, 2 to 3 p.m., we'll be having online office hours. Sometimes, depending if we're close to an exam or if there's a topic that people have a lot of questions about, we might hold additional office hours or review sessions, but these ones are guaranteed to happen each week. These office hours are optional. They're not mandatory, so you're welcome to come to them if you want to, or you can come to part of them if it fits your schedule better, whatever is best for you. I do want to just say one thing about that, though. I do find that the online office hours are very beneficial because they're really the one chance in this online format where you guys can sort of have a live discussion with me about the stuff that we're learning, right? Where we can sort of go back and forth and really delve into this stuff. There's many other ways, as we'll talk about as we sort of go through this syllabus, for you guys to ask questions. You can contact me through email. There's discussion boards that we'll have up on our Canvas site, all that sort of stuff. But these online office hours are really the only way to have a live discussion. If for some reason you miss an office hour that you wanted to go to or you had questions, I will always take the whiteboards that we use during the online office hours and post them to our Canvas site. So even if you're not able to attend one of the office hours, you can still see what we sort of discussed or any problems that we worked through during those online office hours. Also, keep in mind that for these online office hours, on the morning of the office hour, you guys will receive a little reminder email letting you know that, yep, today we have an online office hour, and also you'll have the link to the Zoom meeting in that email. So you'll be able to remember these on a sort of weekly basis because you'll always get a reminder there. Other relevant information up here, well, this isn't so relevant. Office, NBA 247, we're just supposed to have that on there. But of course, everything is entirely online for summer 2020 here, so you don't need to worry about that. This, of course, is pretty important. My email, bmitchell@elcamino.edu. Definitely, if you have questions, you can always directly email me through that email address. It's our main way of contacting outside of these online office hours at these times or posting onto Canvas. But always feel free to just directly email there. Prerequisites for this class, of course, you need to have a passing grade in Math 220. I think probably the vast majority of you guys has probably worked your way through the sequence of 190, 191, and 220. To be honest, probably the majority of the stuff that you really need, especially at the beginning of this class, is really from 191. We're going to be making heavy use of integration and integration techniques. Certainly there'll be some derivatives, and occasionally we'll see some limit concepts. There will be a couple moments where you need things directly from 220, especially with partial derivatives. But to be honest, the main prerequisite skill you're going to need is your techniques of integration. One of the first videos that you guys will see up on YouTube is just a quick review video going back over some of those techniques of integration and stuff. And if it's been a while since you took 191, or if you don't feel super comfortable with your integration, definitely take a look at that, because it is going to be one of the major prerequisite skills we need for this class. All right. The description of this class, I'm not going to really go too far in depth in this. As you can see, it's sort of a mixture of things that relate to differential equations, first order differential equations, system of differential equations, so on and so forth. But then also things that are more linear algebra based, matrices, determinants, vector spaces, and so on. And again, remember, first couple weeks, differential equations, then about 4 weeks of linear algebra, and then about 2 more weeks of differential equations. In terms of required materials for this class, there's really only one thing you absolutely need, which is our textbook. It's Differential Equations in Linear Algebra, the 4th edition by Good and Annan. Very, very important that you have this textbook, and very important that you have this edition. This textbook's important for a couple reasons. One, the lecture videos that you guys will see will always reference sections from this textbook, so they go right along with the different sections directly from the text. I think it's a great idea to read the examples in the text or the proofs in the text to supplement what I'm doing in the lecture videos. It gives you guys an alternate way of seeing things, because to be honest, sometimes the proofs that I will do in the lecture videos are a little bit different than what the textbook uses, just because I sort of prefer a different way. So by reading the textbook and watching the lecture videos, you're going to get to see a lot of the things from 2 different perspectives. Also, it's very important that you have the 4th edition, because I will post as suggested exercises, certain exercises from the textbook that I've picked out that I think are good ones to work through. And of course, they switch the problems from edition to edition, so to make sure you're actually doing the right questions, you absolutely need that 4th edition. The third and sort of more general reason that I really recommend getting this textbook is this textbook is a great sort of intermediate book between introductory sort of mathematics textbooks like Stewart that you use for your calculus sequence, and more advanced texts. It does a great job of actually going through and discussing some of the theoretical ideas. It has a lot of sort of the proofs written out in them, but it's written in a reasonably readable way. And as you guys sort of go into more and more advanced classes, being able to sort of read denser and denser materials, more and more theoretical materials, is a really important skill. And this is a great sort of segue book to use to sort of practice the ability to sit down, read through some pretty dense material, but that's written in a reasonable way. So definitely make sure you have this textbook. We don't have any sort of online homework system, so you don't need an access code, no MyMathLab or WebWorks or anything like that, but you definitely need the actual textbook. Or, of course, an ebook would work too, as long as you can see the text, the examples, and the problem sets from this 4th edition. A calculator, you can use it during our class. It's not required. It's not really necessary. But if you have a graphing calculator that makes you feel better as you're doing stuff, feel free to use it there. All right. In terms of course objectives, this class is an absolute massive pile of different things that we're going to be doing. There's a tremendous amount of content in this class. It's going to be a very fast-paced class, especially since we're doing it in 8 weeks, so we're going twice as fast as normal. It's already fast-paced during the normal term. It's going to be even more fast-paced in the summer, but this is a whole wide range of different things that we'll be learning how to do. We're not going to spend too much time talking about that right now, but of course, as we go through the course, if you ever want to, you can reference these objectives and see that we do make our way through them. On to the next page here, we also have a list of student learning outcomes. Same thing. We're not going to really spend any time talking about this now, but as we go through the course, you'll see that you will learn each of these things, and you should be comfortable with them by the time we get to the end of our class. Maybe more importantly, or something people are more interested in, grading policies. So grades are determined by a percentage breakdown based on 4 categories. So these 4 categories is that we will have 4 take-home quizzes, we will have 3 midterms, we will have 3 take-home exams, and we will have a comprehensive final. The 4 take-home quizzes, each take-home quiz is 5%, so that comes out to 20% overall. Each midterm is 10%, so that comes out to 30% overall. Each take-home exam is 10%, so that comes out to 30% overall. And the comprehensive final is 20%, so that adds up to 100%. Otherwise, we use a very standard grading scale, so A, 90 and above, B is 80 and above, C, 70 above, D, 60 and above, everything else F, right? What's probably more interesting is what actually does it mean for each of these categories, especially because some of these names I'm sort of using from what I would have originally called them if we were meeting in person. But of course, now everything is sort of take home in its own way because everything is online here. So let's get into the details of what each of these sort of categories really means. So let's talk about the quizzes first. There's going to be 4 quizzes during the term because we basically divide our course into 4 portions, each about 2 weeks long. When you're working on the quizzes, you guys are welcome to work in groups of up to 3 people. You don't have to work in a group. You don't have to use the same group as the term goes on. You can work in a group the first time, decide not to the second time, whatever works best for you guys. If you do choose to work in a group, though, it can be up to 3 people in that group. If you do work as a group, you're going to have to submit 1 set of answers, and all of you guys will have to agree on those answers and make sure that you get all your name information on that 1 document that you submit, and then everyone will receive the same grade. If for some reason you're working with other people and you really can't come to a consensus about a set of answers, probably better to just work separately and submit your own set of answers. Because, again, if you do work as a group and you submit 1 set of answers, everyone will receive the same grade. Quizzes are going to be due by 11:59 p.m., so the very end of the day on which they are due. So whatever the due date is, you have until 11:59 p.m. of that day. Quizzes will be submitted electronically. Everything is going to be submitted electronically here because we're going to be completely online. And you must submit your work as a single PDF file. Over the next couple days, you'll see some information posted on Canvas about some different free software and apps that allow you to take multiple images or multiple scans and put them into a single PDF. I would make sure that you practice with one of those, or if you've done it before, make sure you have some software that does that, because all of the submissions for this class need to come in as single PDFs. It's really, really important that you guys do that because it makes the grading tremendously easier. It also makes sure that I don't miss that you had a question as a separate image attached. It also makes it much easier for me to give you confirmation when you submit your work that I actually received it, because I know your 1 document is all of your answers, so I know one thing I receive is everything that you need there. So definitely make sure you're comfortable putting everything as a single PDF file. If you haven't done that before, definitely look for some instructions to be coming out in the next couple days to give you some direction about how to do that. Submissions that are late, so if things come in past that 11:59 p.m. deadline, or things that are not in this format, can be penalized, so do be aware of that. Also, do keep in mind that when you submit things in this class, quizzes, midterms, whatever, you're submitting electronically. You can submit through Canvas, or you can submit directly via email by just emailing me, as long as it's in that single PDF format. Generally speaking, within about an hour or 2 of submissions, I'll get back to you and confirm that I've received your submission. So you'll always get confirmation that I've received the documents you're sending in. What are quizzes really used for? What's the point of having these quizzes? Well, these quizzes are really used as check-ins for the basic skills, right? Even though our class is a pretty advanced class, we're still learning some computational skills, some just basic, how do these types of new structures work? And the quizzes really give you guys a chance to sort of practice on that. So quizzes are often pretty computational in nature, but they're just check-ins to make sure you're keeping on track with the basics from each sort of portion of our class. All right, the second major category that we have here are midterms. The dates of the midterms are set. They happen every 2 weeks at the end of our official week. Our official week technically ends on a Thursday. So on the Thursdays of weeks 2, 4, and 6, that's Thursday, July 2nd, Thursday, July 16th, and Thursday, July 30th, you guys will have one of these midterms. Now, again, as I said, our official deadline of each week is a Thursday because that's what we would have if we were in person. To be honest, on Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays, you guys will probably still be seeing lecture videos being posted because I want you guys to have as much flexibility as you can to try to, choose to watch the videos when you want to. But in terms of actually taking an assessment, we'll do it at what is officially noted as the end of our week, which is our Thursdays. So Thursdays of weeks 2, 4, and 6, you'll have these exams here. Midterms are going to be made available to you guys at 9 a.m. So they'll be up and posted at 9 a.m. And then they're due by 5 p.m. of the same day. So you guys have about 8 hours to work through those midterms. Are the midterms written where they require 8 hours? No. The midterms are usually written where they should take about 2, maybe 2.5 hours overall. But I'm giving you guys this window of 8 hours to complete them for a couple reasons. One is to make sure that there's no issues with actually getting the documents into a single PDF format and sending it in and all that stuff. Basically giving you guys some time just to handle the mechanics and logistics of submitting electronically. And I'm also giving you this window because I know that you probably have other responsibilities, maybe other classes and so on. So this gives you sort of a window to make sure that you have some time to choose when to do it. Again, exams are written in the sense that they should take about 2.5, maybe 3 hours, but you'll have an 8-hour window to do each midterm. When working on the midterms, you guys are going to have access to your notes. So notes are very important in this class. You'll want to definitely take good notes as you're watching the lecture videos and as you're working through the suggested exercises and stuff, because you're going to have access to them while you're taking your exams. For the midterms, because they're exams, you're not allowed to discuss or work on the midterms with any of the other students in the class. So there can be no discussion of what is going on the midterms. Midterms are just for each student individually. Again, midterms are just like quizzes in the sense that they will be submitted electronically and must be submitted as a single PDF file. We're not going to have any makeup exams. If an emergency does happen and you miss an exam, or if an exam does not go as well as you were hoping, we will have one exam score replaced by your final exam score if the final exam score is higher. So if you miss an exam, your final exam will count for that missing exam. If an exam does not go very well and you do better on your final exam, the final exam will replace that. This will only apply to making up one exam. If you miss one exam, we'll replace it with the final. Or if one exam goes badly, we'll replace it with the final. If several exams are missed or several exams go badly, we're just going to replace the lowest one with your final exam score. Again, same thing. Submissions that are late or in an incorrect format can be penalized there. What are midterms really doing? Well, midterms sort of assess the major skills or concepts that we did in that particular 2-week chunk of our class. So each midterm sort of focuses on the 2-week chunk that we sort of covered there. Midterms are still going to be mostly computational, but they might have some theoretical aspects put into them. So they're really focusing on what are the major ideas from that section of the class. All right. The next sort of topic, or the next category that we have for assessment is what we call take-home exams. Now, take-home exam, I'm using that name in quotation marks because, again, you guys are doing everything from home because we're a completely online class here. But I use the name take-home exams because take-home exams are a little bit different in structure from the midterms. So following each of the midterms, basically as soon as you guys finish each of the midterms, these will be posted. There will be a take-home exam portion. These take-home exam portions, you'll have about a week to complete. So you don't have as narrow of a window. You don't have only 8 hours. You have about a week to complete. And they'll be due on 11:59 p.m. on the day that it says that it's due. For take-home exams, the major difference with them compared to midterms is that you are allowed to discuss with other students in your class, but you need to submit your own work. So take-home exams are a little different than both midterms and quizzes, right? They're different from midterms because you are allowed to discuss them. If you guys want to talk about how to approach a certain question or come up with ideas, you're certainly allowed to. But since they are an exam, everyone needs to submit your own work. So even if you work with some other people, everybody has to write up and submit their own take-home exam. Take-home exams, again, submitted electronically, must be submitted as a single PDF. Late or incorrect formats can be penalized. Take-home exams, their major purpose in this class is to assess the major theoretical concepts. Almost exclusively, the take-home exams will be put in a sort of true-false format where true statements you guys will be giving proofs and false statements you'll be giving counterexamples. It's something we're going to be doing a tremendous amount of in our class. We'll be doing lots of proofs in the lecture videos, and we'll also be thinking of counterexamples whenever we see a statement that isn't true. So take-home exams are going to be your chance to sort of work on that. If you're not super comfortable with proofs or counterexample logic yet, don't worry. That's one of the goals in this class, is to make you more comfortable with it. And we'll even have some practice at the beginning, just understanding the sort of logical structure before we even apply it to the new material that we'll be learning here. So take-home exams are very important in the sense that they really assess your theoretical understanding of our class. All right. Finally, as its name would imply, the final exam. Final exam is a cumulative or comprehensive exam, so it covers everything in our class. Normally, that's a pretty daunting task because normally it would be 16 weeks of material that you'd have to remember for the final exam. But for you guys, because of the summer session, it is condensed into 8 weeks, so your final exam, you only have to really remember 8 weeks of material. That's a little bit of an advantage there. Final exam is held on the last day of class, which for us is Thursday, August 13th. Final exam is more similar to the midterms, except you have a slightly wider range. It'll be available at 9 a.m. and then it will be due at 9 p.m. the same day. Just like the midterms, you're allowed access to your notes for your final exam. So definitely make sure you have good notes. Make sure you have well-organized and annotated notes so you can reference them easily. Just like the midterms, you're not allowed to discuss or work on the final exam with any of the other students in your class. Your final exam submitted electronically, single PDF, all that stuff. The final exam basically will resemble a slightly longer midterm, right? The reason it's slightly longer is that it covers stuff from the entire class. The point of the final exam is to recap the most important aspects of our class. And since it covers everything, that's why we can use the final exam to replace a missing or lowest exam score, because it really will talk about some of the things from all parts of our class. So just to recap real quick, right? 4 categories for your guys' grades: take-home quizzes, midterms, take-home exams, and the comprehensive final. Quizzes, you can discuss and work with each other, meaning you can submit as a group. Midterms, you have to work individually, and you'll have a limited time frame, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Take-home exams, you guys you're allowed to talk and discuss, but you'll all have to submit your own work. And then the comprehensive final, just like the midterms, you'll work individually. You'll have a sort of narrow window, 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. to finish it. All right. All of these things, after you guys submit them, once you're graded and everything, you'll have grades posted to Canvas so you can keep track of how you've been doing on each of the assignments. All right, let's talk about some general requirements and important dates. Normally, this would have stuff mostly just about the dates of the semester, but I thought that since this is a totally online class, and since, a lot of you guys probably, in the emergency situation that happened in spring, you had online classes, but everything was sort of, that was a unique situation because you had started for a few weeks and then it became online. This is a fully online class from the very beginning, and specifically it's a fully online asynchronous class, because we don't have any mandatory meeting times. So I just wanted to go over some of the stuff about how our class really functions. So first of all, lecture materials. All the lecture materials will be presented through videos posted on YouTube. You guys will see a Math 270 Summer 2020 playlist that'll have all the videos in the order that they should be watched as I update them and create those videos. It'll be a little bit bumpy at the beginning because I'm having to get this class all sort of situated and started and generate that content. So, you'll be seeing videos trickling in, 1 or 2 every day, and that list will sort of build. Then as we get further on into the class, you'll see the videos will be added much more rapidly because it will start to overlap with what I've already done for spring, where those lecture videos have already been mostly generated. But at the beginning here, just make sure you check that playlist on a regular basis, because generally each day you'll see 1 or 2 more videos added to it. When I update the playlist, I'll try to generally let you guys know that videos have been posted, and also like on Canvas or via just emails that I send out to the class, I'll always try to give you guys sort of a loose schedule of what you should be sort of watching to keep on track with our class. Keep in mind though, this is a asynchronous class, so it's your guys' choice when you want to watch the videos. I'll try to tell you how many you should be working through so they don't all pile up towards the end, but again, it is your choice when you choose to work through these and watch them and work on the exercises. Each of the videos is generally associated with a section from the textbook, and from that section in the textbook, you guys have suggested exercises that are either ones selected from the textbook or ones that I've written. So it's probably a good idea once you've watched some of the videos to try some of those exercises so you have that balance between sort of the more passive learning experience, which is watching the lecture videos, as well as the more active learning experience, which is working through the suggested exercises. When you guys start to see some of the content videos posted on YouTube over the next day or two, you'll also notice that in the description of each video, I will post a link to the blank PDF for that video. So if you want, you can print that out or have it in front of you and fill it out as I work through the video, so you can sort of follow along directly and you'll know what the examples are, what the major definitions are. I'll also have a link to the fully annotated PDF, which is the PDF that I've created by the end of the video, in case you just want to see the summary of everything that happened in that video. Again, I do both of those so that you guys can sort of choose what is most useful to you. In terms of like exercises and practicing, it's highly recommended that you do as many of the problems as possible to make sure you're comfortable with the topics and concepts presented in the videos. Again, as always, right, especially since we're not able to have sort of the back and forth that we would normally have during a in-person class, it's very important to make sure that you really understand what I'm demonstrating in the videos by actually trying it yourself using either the exercises from the textbook or the ones that I've written for you guys as well. So where do you find all the necessary documents? We know that all the videos, all the lecture videos will be on YouTube. Well, all the documents will be found on our Canvas site. On Canvas, there's a file section, and in the file section, there's different folders for each thing. There's a folder currently that holds the syllabus. There's a folder that holds some review exercises that you can take a look at, and there'll be folders for suggested exercises, quizzes, review guides, other materials, etc. So any electronic copies of documents you need for the class, they can all be found on the files section of our Canvas site. Canvas is also going to be used to keep track of your guys' grades and to provide a source of announcements for our classes. So when I talk about posting up schedules or letting you guys know about things that are coming up, I'll make use of the announcements feature on Canvas so you can look at that as well. Also keep in mind that one of the sort of ways that you guys can ask questions or get help in this class is that there will be some discussion boards on Canvas that are associated with the exercises and things like that. So feel free to post on there. Canvas also allows us to have those discussions. All right, since our class is completely online, I want to go over some of the ways that you guys can ask questions or get help during the semester. So remember, the first way is that each week there will be those online office hours through Zoom. The times are at the top of the syllabus that we already went over. And remember, you'll also receive a reminder email each morning about the office hours that are happening that day. That'll also have the link to the Zoom meeting. As I just mentioned, there's also Canvas discussion boards for each set of suggested exercises, quizzes, etc. My hope is with those Canvas discussion boards, this will really help you guys discuss and talk to one another. I'll definitely hop onto the discussion boards and answer questions if I see something that keeps coming up, but I really want that to be an opportunity for you guys to discuss with one another, just like you would be able to in class. Normally, 270, because it's sort of the finale of our math sequence, a lot of you guys already know each other, or you get to know each other during the class and work together. That's going to be a little bit harder here since we're all working from home and it's completely online, but hopefully this Canvas discussion board will sort of facilitate some of those discussions, so feel free to post questions there, hopefully help each other out, and I'll also try to hop in as much as possible and give you guys some hints, advice, tips, suggestions, etc. Finally, if you ever have a question that you just want to directly ask me that you can't ask during the online office hours or whatever, you can always just directly email me either through Canvas or through your ECC email, and just email me directly. I do want to give you guys one heads up about emailing though. Generally, for the foreseeable future, most of my time is going to be devoted to developing content, basically creating videos just like the one you guys are currently watching. I'm running 2 classes in the summer, so there's a tremendous amount of content that needs to be sort of generated here. That's pretty much what I'll be doing during the middle part of the day. So if you're emailing me, you're probably going to see more responses either early in the morning before I've sort of started working through and making all these videos, or sort of later on at night once I'm sort of finished. So sometimes you might not see a response during the middle part of the day, but I will try always to get back to you as soon as possible. A couple of important dates here, right? First one, the last day to drop the class without any sort of notation on permanent record is Monday, June 29th. That's the day where you get a full refund, no notation that you were ever in the class, all that stuff. Very important to keep this date in the back of your head. It is 1 week from our start date. 1 week doesn't sound like a lot, but keep in mind that because we are in the summer session, everything is twice as fast. There's going to be a tremendous amount of content in the first week, so you'll really get a good sense of what this class is like and what the sort of format is like. If you decide that you don't like this format, this completely online asynchronous format, then that's understandable. I think we're all very new to this sort of idea. So keep in mind, you have the option of dropping the class without any sort of notation, full refund, all that stuff, as long as you do it before Monday, June 29th. And because of the summer session, that's going to give you actually a good amount of information because we're going to cover a lot in this first week. The second sort of important date, which I'll also remind you guys about when it actually gets closer, is the drop deadline to receive a W. If you're unhappy, sort of with how your grade is shaping up, or the class is just becoming overwhelming or something like that, you can drop the class by Thursday, July 30th, which is the Thursday of week 6, which means that you guys will have gotten a chance to see all of the midterm exams by then. So you'll have a pretty good sense of how the class is sort of going for you. If you're not happy with where that's at, you can drop, receive the W, avoid sort of failing grade, as long as that happens by Thursday, July 30th. Finally, the last little point here, super important because everything's fully online, is making sure you guys are responsible for all the announcements issued during class time. Class time now means all the time because we're completely online. So make sure you check your El Camino email on a regular basis. Make sure you check Canvas on a regular basis. I generally try to double say all of this sort of announcements. So if I announce something, in Canvas, I'll also try to send an email about it. If I mention something in office hours, I'll make sure to send an email or a Canvas announcement about it. Sometimes it'll seem repetitive that you hear the same thing many times, but it's just making sure that you guys are aware of the things that are sort of going on. In class, every day we would have on the board a list of reminders about things coming up or what you guys were doing. We're going to try to sort of mimic that as well. So just expect a lot of updates. Sometimes they'll just be saying the same thing, but I want to make sure you guys always know sort of what's going on here. All right, as we move to the last page, just a couple last quick things to keep in mind here. Some cornerstones to success. Because this is an asynchronous class, it is up to you guys to keep a good schedule and make sure you're keeping up with the material. One advantage is that obviously the lecture videos are recorded. So you guys are welcome to watch them when you want to. You can stop them, start them, re-watch them, whatever you sort of like. So just make sure you find a way that sort of works for you. You'll need to do a little bit of experimenting at the beginning. Like I said, in spring, I had some people who liked using the blank PDF and filling it out. I had other people who liked having the fully annotated PDF to reference as they watch the video. Some people just wanted to do their own notes completely. Got to try to find a way that works for you. Make sure that you also reread and especially annotate those notes, right? Because during even watching a video, you're probably your note taking is more about getting the information down. You'll probably want to go back over it at some point, summarize it, think about where it belongs or how you want to reference it later, so that when you're working on the exercises, the quizzes, the exams, you know quickly where to find everything. Taking good notes is very important because remember, you're going to have your access to your notes for everything. You have your notes for your quizzes, your midterms, your take-home exams, your final, everything. Good notes are going to be well-organized notes, meaning that you're not just have a giant pile that covers everything, but you have a pile that covers everything that you also know how to go through very quickly and find exactly what's going to reference what you need to solve a particular problem or to handle a particular concept. Making sure that you study adequately before the exams. You guys are very advanced students at this point, taking Math 270. This is your sort of finale math course. So I don't think it needs to be said too much that preparing for exams is important. But, of course, our exams are the majority of our grade here, so do make sure that you guys study adequately. Sometimes it's difficult because you see that window and it says, you have 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. to complete an exam or 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. to finish the final. And you say, well, I don't have to study too much because I can just do it as going on. Keep in mind, though, that those are hard deadlines, 5 p.m., 9 p.m. You got to make sure it gets in by that time. And if you haven't really studied too much, yeah, you have access to your notes and everything's there, but it can take a tremendous amount of time to sift through all that stuff if you haven't really practiced it, annotated it, reviewed it. Make sure that you definitely prepare, even though the exams have a wider time window than would normally be the case if we were in person. Also, we'll talk more about this as we sort of go on, but you guys do get review guides for each of the exams, so you'll want to definitely make sure you take some time to work through those review guides thoroughly, ask any questions about anything on there that you're unsure about. That's your best indication that you understand what's in each section of our course. And then, of course, making use of the resources. We still have office hours. You guys have a textbook. You still have the other students in the class via the Canvas discussion boards and things like that, so you want to make use of all that. Also, do keep in mind that you have new resources, right? If we were in person, you'd only get to see the lectures once, and then you'd have to reference your notes. Here, all the sort of lecture videos are going to be up during the entire duration of the class, so you can always rewatch, re-reference those things. Might not even be a bad idea to annotate just little mentions about what is in each of the videos or ones that you think are particularly important that you might want to go back to. So it'll take a little bit of experimenting, but you want to make the best possible use of all the resources in our class. For academic honesty, we want to avoid cheating in all situations here. Keep in mind that for all of the assignments, you guys are welcome to use your notes, your textbook, rewatch the videos, all that sort of stuff. For everything in this class, right, you're allowed access to those notes. Keep in mind, though, for quizzes and take-home exams, you can discuss with each other, but for midterms and finals, right, you have to work independently just by yourself there, right? For anything that is an exam also, there can't be any contacting of outside resources like tutors or anything like that. So do keep in mind that any instances of academic honesty are going to be pursued with a disciplinary action. They usually result in a failing grade on that exam or assignment, and then they also have to be referenced to the official administration and all that sort of stuff. So just be very, very careful about that, and please don't cheat. Finally, the student with special needs in the ADA statement. This is about accommodations, and what I'd really like to just say here is obviously El Camino is committed to providing accommodations for all students. What I'd like to say specifically for our class is that this online environment is new to everybody. So as we go along, if there's things that you'd like to see added or things that I can do to benefit you guys, please let me know, and I'll try to make those accommodations as to the best of my ability. I think it's really important too because, as I think I've mentioned, or I've used the word several times in this video, Math 270 is really your guys' finale. It's the culmination of all the work that you've been doing in mathematics at your time at El Camino, and possibly even from earlier on, because it even builds from earlier courses. So it's a really special, important course, and it has a lot of applications to further courses, both in mathematics and other sciences, but it's really just a big send-off here. And so I think it's a really special class. It's one of my favorite to teach, and I really want you guys to get as much as you possibly can out of it. So as we go along during the term, if there's things that you want more of, or if there's things I can do to make the class even more beneficial for you, always just let me know, and I'll try my best to include those. So that sort of wraps us up through the syllabus. If you guys want, you can always go back and reference this. It's in the file section of our Canvas site, so always feel free to take another look at it. Otherwise, the next video you'll be seeing is a quick review about some materials, and then we'll get into the actual content of our class. Keep in mind that we do start right from the beginning. Our very first real content video you'll see is something relating to section 1.1 from our textbook.